welcome guys. As Gary has introduced me, I'll just quickly give you a quick chat about myself. My name is Lee Smith. I'm the current chairman of the PRRB, and as with Gary, I'll switch my camera on so you can actually see that I'm real. There I am, sitting. It's not a computer behind here talking to you. I hope you're going to enjoy the session. It's about, we want to bring some information across to you about the new era of where the PRRB is going, which has a big impact on the plumbing industry. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy it. Get your drink, beer, put your feet up, and just listen. And as Gary says, he'll be my co-pilot on the side. So if you've got any questions, keep it at him. But we will keep it right towards the end of the session. I'm not going to keep the webcams on, guys, and ladies. I see there is some ladies in the room. Because then it takes a little bit of bandwidth away, and the presentation runs a little bit quicker. And also, we're not there to look at my ugly face. We're there to look at the presentation and the information that we're trying to get across to you. So I'll come back on later, guys, and as I said, enjoy the presentation. So tonight, guys, what are we here for? We want to introduce you to the new PRRB's professional designations or categories of registration. Designations refer to the categories of registration. And for me, it's about giving you an understanding why these changes are taking place. And what I want you to do at the end of the day is I want you to walk away with the right understanding and not secondhand information, because you sit at the suppliers and the one guy says one thing and he's heard it from somebody else. But for me, I want to give you the right information across. So and also to get a better understanding of the long-term drive of the PRRB, the professional body for the plumbing industry. And as I said to you at the end, time permitting, of course, if there's questions, we'll try and answer them as best we can. So, the objective of the Plumbing Industry Registration Board from a very high level perspective is that we proactively work to promote plumbing practice that protect the health and safety of the community and the integrity of the water supply. And ultimately, that is our overall goal that we want to do, or our objective. And through that, we want to protect the trade of plumbing for those working or wishing to work in it. We're trying to protect it for everybody, not just for me, not just for the guy down the road, not for the main contractor, or a contracting plumber or a maintenance plumber. It's everybody working or wishing to work in the industry. And that's one of our key drivers and objectives of the PRRB. Now, we have a few other secondary drivers through the process, and most of the constituency or everybody out there knows us for the fact that we maintain a registration system for the plumbers in South Africa. And the registration system, and again, what I want to point out here is it's a registration system, a registration of plumbers operating in the industry. It's not a member organization like the Institute of Plumbing. It's a register. And then, as you know, the second objective, or a second key driver of the PRRB, which is common out there, is that through the certificate of compliance, we monitor compliance to the technical standards of plumbing work. And that is through the issuing of the certificate of compliance. I will touch on that again a bit later. All right, but let's move on. One of the lesser known objectives of the PRRB, and this gives, it has a bearing on tonight's discussions or tonight's presentations, is that our third objective is to promote and encourage the upliftment of training and skills development at all levels in the plumbing sector. And also, which many of you know about, is the CPD the CPD activities, is to promote, monitor, and maintain expertise and competencies among industry professionals. And as I said, that is done through the continuous professional development programs that we have in place or unpacked through the industry. And like you are supposed to maintain your CPD points throughout a year cycle. But again, I will touch on that again when we get there later. Now, I keep referring to the PRRB as the professional body. Now, the professional body is actually, we are put in this position by the South African Qualifications Authority Board. We applied to become a professional body, and in November 2012, we were given that recognition. And that recognition was done in terms of the National Qualifications Framework Act. So we are enacted in terms of government to be a professional body. So what does that mean to you? I mean, great, we're a professional body. You know, and many people ask me this, and I think it's very simple. It's in the title. We are professionals, and therefore we should be acting and driving or standing up like being professionals. Like a doctor, everybody says a doctor is a professional, an architect, an engineer, a quantity surveyor. We, as tradespeople, are professionals in our own rights. And as part of this recognition and this retention of this professional status, we as the PRRB and as the sector have to align ourselves to the objectives laid out by SAQA for the professional bodies. Now, to let you know a little bit about those specific things, those objectives talk very close to our objectives, but I want to specifically just highlight them. And I'm going to read directly from the Act, and it says, a professional body is there to promote public understandings of and trust in the profession through the establishment of a national regulatory system for the recognition of professional bodies and for the registration of professional designations. Further, it says, encourage social responsibility and accountability within the profession relating to the professional services to the communities and individuals. I'm going to read that again because it's quite an important objective that the SAQA puts on the professional bodies. Encourage social responsibility and, more importantly, accountability within the profession relating to professional services, professional services to communities and individuals. And lastly, one of the other key highlights that the code within the professional bodies requirement states, it says promote the protection of the public by professional bodies from malpractice. Promote protection of the public. So as you can see, a lot of what is encaptured in the professional bodies requirements by SAQA is encaptured in the PRRB. But I think, I mean, that's a lot of stuff to take in, guys, but what's important to understand is it's in the title. What does a professional body means? It means that I'm a professional in my industry and they are there to protect me or to protect or to set the guidelines for how to act as a professional. So, moving on. Just to give you a bit of some background as to where the PRRB is with regards to, you know, how many people are. So currently we sit at about 3,500 registered plumbers that are on our books, right? We've got our database reflects that. But what is quite interesting is that, have a look at this, guys. This is the age analysis of the PRRB. So we're actually able to work out, you know, because the guys give us their date and birth. You might know, you'll see there says there's unknown. We haven't able to get those guys that information because they gave us wrong information there. But it gives us a very good indication of how the industry looks. Now, what is a couple of things to take out of this specific thing? Firstly, is that people say that the profession is dying out. Now, our indications, and you see that they refer to it as a bell curve. It's a reasonably good, I wouldn't say reasonably good, but there's an indication that there's a bell curve on that specific thing, or on the graphs, right? And so the one problem that we're sitting here, as you can see, that the up and coming is a bit of a problem there compared to the 30 to 40-year-olds, right? But the other thing that we are seeing within this age analysis is, while yes, This, when you join the PRRB, and the people who are not PRRB members or have been joining or have joined already would have realized that they submit their qualifications, and then we at the PRRB vet that qualification to make sure that it is real, right? But the thing is, we cannot determine the competency behind this specific thing, behind that piece of paper, and that is what's not shown in this age analysis, and that is what we are picking up in the industry. While we have a lot of licensed and qualified plumbers in the industry, the competency behind this is very poor, is extremely poor, and that is what we are picking up with respect to the COCs coming out. To take it a little bit step further, this is quite an interesting graph as well, and it talks about the learner plumber that sits in the system, all right? And currently we have 787 learner plumbers. Well, there it is. There it is. And you say, well, that's quite a bit. But have a look at that age analysis. It's crazy. I mean, we've got guys that are 93, 60 to 70 years old that are still learners, right? Now you ask the question, why is this the case? Why we have so many 787 learners? Basically, your learning should take place here, but the bulk of the people sit here. Now, we looked at this and we said, well, what are the reasons behind this specific thing? And based on that, it was one of the key drivers, and with the licensed plumber, in the change of the PRRBs, all these new categories of registration that are going to that we're going to be introducing tonight. Moving along. So, why do we want to change? Well, it's all about upliftment. We said in our objectives, we need to uplift the industry. And if you look at the competency of the plumbers out there, it all talks about upliftment. We also, with the learner plumbers, what we've realized is that the learner plumber, the reason why they join on is because they're not necessarily qualified, because they can't achieve that level of competency to be recognized as a qualified plumber. So therefore, but they want recognition, and the only place they could join was basically on the learner plumber one, all right? And therefore, one of the other stronger reasons is we want to recognize the ability of the people within the profession that are not necessarily all at the top level, but we want to recognize them, but they've got a skill set through either hand skills, but not necessarily academic skills, right? Reading and writing and all that stuff. That's where the downfall might have been the downfall. So therefore, we have created categories for that. And also, continuous learning. We want to, continuous professional development, because, things change. Things that we did 10 years, 15 years ago are changing, right? I mean, take solar, for example. Solar has been around it's been around for donkey years, but the introduction came into South Africa around about 2010, 11, 12. Well, that is continuous learning. So this is what we have for, guys, is actually to understand what this new structure looks like. Now, this document is floating around. You can actually get it from the PRRB site, right? And it actually shows you the hierarchy process of how the new designations will look. But I'm going to now break these ones down individually and then touch on them individually as we go through this presentation. So starting off, we're going to start off with the learner plumber. It still remains, it doesn't change. And if you had a look at the application form and when you applied the PRRB, one of the first things is you must be employed or you must work under the adequate supervision and or mentorship of a licensed or qualified plumber. It's like any apprenticeship. You can't just do, if you're a learner, you can't just do anything. You've got to work under the adequate control or the supervision of a qualified plumber. Now, when you join up, you must provide the details of that qualified plumber if you're a learner. As with all the other designations, the learner plumber will be required to carry out 10 CPD points throughout the year, and because he's also in a learning process, and registration will take place every 12 months. The other one is that we will not accept anyone older than 25 years unless they can really prove to us that they are an actual learner in the specific process. So the cutoff date is 25 years as a learner. We're not accepting anybody older unless they come back with a serious reason why they still are a learner. So you might ask, well, what's going to happen with all those other people? Well, we have introduced a next level on that specific process, and it's referred to as a technical operator or technical assistance practitioner. So to obtain that registration of a technical assistant practitioner, you need 3 years proven practical experience. In other words, if you apply, you must prove to the PRRB that you have this experience in the industry, and you must submit a CV or job, that you've got a letter from previous employers or whatever, and just submit it to, they will look at it, and then you will be moved to this technical assistant practitioner if you would like to apply for that designation. Again, they will carry 10 CPD points that you must do throughout the year. Re-registration will take after 12 months. And this is also important, like the learner plumber, they still work under the adequate control of a licensed or a trained plumber. They can't do their own thing because the law does not allow that. Okay, moving on to it. The next level up, and I believe this is the one that's going to really, really make an impact in the industry. And this is the one that we are going to, I believe, is going to change the industry quite drastically. It's the technical operator practitioner. Now, the major difference between this one and the previous, technical assistant, is that these guys will come and actually prove their competency to us. So they'll have 3 years practical experience, and then they'll come to the PRRB and they will pass a practical test. But they'll choose if they want to do a practical test in drainage or in hot water, in other words, geysers, in a cold water, in other words, doing an installation, and then water energy efficiency, in other words, heat pumps and solars. So these are the type of guys that are continuously doing the work day in and day out. And we now want to give them recognition for it. But they've got to come and prove their competency to us. And what's very important, guys, it's a practical test. It's not a written test. It's a practical test that we will put them on the tools and see if they're able to do it. And if they pass, they'll get those designations. For them, 15 CPD points, re-registration every 12 months, and again, working under the adequate supervision of a qualified or trained plumber. The next one is, as you guys know, this is where most of the guys are sitting at this particular point, is the licensed plumber. Now, this doesn't really change from the fact of you still have to obtain a formal qualification. You cannot come there and not have gone through a formal process, in other words, a Red Seal or a learnership or the new QCTO process. You must still go through those formal qualifications. However, and this is the big one, guys, listen up. For the guys that are already licensed plumbers, you are now passed. As of the 1st of October, anybody joining the PRRB and requiring to be a licensed plumber will be required to do a written or a practical assessment. We will choose, and those competencies, what you will be tested on, are the core competencies that you as a qualified plumber had already achieved when you did your qualification, when you obtained your qualification. So that means, when you did your qualification, you did below ground drainage, you did above ground drainage, you did rainwater disposal, you did cold water, and you did hot water. So we are going to test you guys, or if a guy applies for it, he's going to be tested on this competency. And that is, and as I said, if we go back to the graphs that we showed you, because we see that the guys are qualified, but there's no competency behind that specific thing. So therefore, we're going to put in this test going forward and try and upskill or try and drive that competency level upwards in the sector. Further to this, the specializations or these designations which we spoke about, guys, the heat pumps and the solar, they don't change, except the only difference is if you're applying for a specialization in heat pump, solar, or gas, and let me just come back to gas, you are going to do a written or a practical assessment. So you're not just going to get your license anymore. You must go to an accredited IOPSA training center. They will approve the training provider that can provide this training. You go and get the training there. And for those people who have already done that specific thing, when you apply for it, you are going to do a written or practical assessment with the PRRB before you're given those designations. The one that is different is gas. You'll still do a test with us, but if you're applying, if you're already gas registered, you can apply for this designation, which will be given to you, but you must have been registered with SAQCC. That is the gas registration. So part of our registration is that you need to have registered with them as well. Master plumber. So we're going up, guys. Remember, it's not just about, for us, it wasn't just about the guys below. It's also identifying competency for guys that are going up. Right, so if you want to apply to become a master plumber at the PRRB, you must be a licensed plumber on the previous one in 6 of the designations. So you've already got 5 core. In other words, you've got your hot water, your cold water, your drainage, above ground, below ground, and rainwater disposal. And you need to do an additional 1 designation, in other words, solar, and you can apply for the licensed plumber. You've got to have 10 years proven practical experience. Post-qualification, in other words, if you were qualified in 97, you can only apply for it in 2007. You had to attend, but you know, a master plumber is a guy who is kind of like a foreman. He runs his own business, so you're going to have some sort of attended an accredited or a leadership course. You know, guys, things if you've got a BCom, or if you've got, I'm not saying you have to have a BCom. I'm just using that as an example, or some formal business or leadership course. Send it to the PRRB. They will look at it, and then we're also going to let you undertake an assessment just to make sure that you know what you're talking about. You're not just a guy that is, you know, doesn't know anything about business. 35 CPD points and re-register 12 months re-registration, and as you do as a licensed plumber, you can issue plumbing certificates of compliance. These ones also, when you become a licensed plumber, you have the ability now to, sorry, not a licensed plumber, a master plumber. You'll have the ability to apply for additional specializations, and these are over and above your solar or heat pump or gas specializations. Remember, you needed 6 of them, right? These are over and above. So if you've got a specialization in arbitration, in other words, you'll be able to mediate between 2 people or arbitrate, you can apply for that specific thing. Estimator, if you're very good at doing calculations or setting up tenders, put yourself forward for that. And also training assessor. You know, if you've got that core competency, put yourself forward, and we'll see, you know, and then we'll assess you, and we'll give you that competency. The last one, guys, is the last designation that you can go for is the director plumber, right? And the director plumber, again, is the basic difference is that you must be a master plumber and you must be an owner or a director of a company. Also, guys, and then you can see the rest there, registered with the Institute of Directors, 45 CPD points per year, re-registration, and issuing of a plumbing certificate of compliance. And one thing I just wanted to mention here again, sorry, is that you must be a director, owner of a company, and it must be a formal company. It can't be a fly-by-night that it's not paying its taxes or you're missing your pay as you earn. It has to be a formal company. Also, guys, is that your license cards are going to change. When you look through that whole thing, you see this is a director's card, right? It's got a yellow stripe at the bottom. Each level is now going to denote a different thing. So, for instance, licensed plumber, remember, it was red. So you're going to have that red coming through, and all your designations are going to be at the back. So when the new cards will be coming out towards the end of this particular month. Finally, guys, we are getting towards the end of this information session, and what is very important for me going forward is I want to specifically talk about the licensed plumbers. Guys, you know, it's not it's not only about you, it's about the industry and the professionalism in the industry. And that is what, as I said in the beginning, we're trying to drive up, and we're trying to drive through the process. We want to proactively work to promote the plumbing practice that protect the health and safety of the community and integrity of the water supply and wastewater systems. And through that, remember what I said? protect the trade of plumbing for those who work or wishing to work in it. So in saying that, guys, is that this is one of the strongest reasons, one of the main reasons why we're bringing in this practical assessment or this practical written assessment. It's going to be a choice, guys. It's not going to necessarily going to do practical. Bulk of it's going to be a written assessment on a new registration. But please take note, if you do not renew your license and you have it lapsed, you are going to write that assessment. We're also looking at randomly, and this was denoted when the PRRB started. It was indicated to you that you might be randomly taken out for a test, right? If you do not maintain your CPD points, you are going to be asked to write the test. All right, so if you don't achieve your CPD points throughout the year, we might call you and say you're going to do the written test, or we might ask you to assessment. And as we do now, if you are suspended, and when I mean suspended, you didn't conform when you were issuing a COC, or you're doing things transgressed against the code of the PRRB, and you get suspended, you'll be requested to do a written assessment to do that. But finally, guys, what's more important, and what is very, and if you didn't listen to half the stuff throughout the evening, guys, this is the most important thing, is the certificate of compliance, guys, is going to become a real thing. There's a few developments that are taking place, right? And something by the end of this year is coming into play. But I encourage you to develop yourselves, guys, because as I said to you, the competency is sorely lacking within the PRRBs, right? You might be a qualified plumber, right? And you might understand how to fit pipes together. But the core of the people within the PRRB, they don't fully understand what they're doing. And I encourage the development of yourself, especially when this DOC has to be written out, guys. You are signing compliance. And when you sign compliance, you must make sure you know what you are signing off. So with that, guys, I'd like to thank you. It was a short session, right? Thanks to Articulate, for bringing the session and allowing us, to jump on the back of them and kindly sponsoring the webinars for us, or this webinar platform for us. But if you need any more information, please, guys, the ladies at the PRRB will help you, or go to the website, or send an email to the PRRB asking any questions, anything that you understand from that perspective. And then with that, thank you very much, guys. Gary, if you want to come on and ask a couple of questions, I'm happy to take a few.
Yeah, we've got some good questions. So let's start. One of the questions is, if PRB is recognized as a professional body by government, why do some of the local municipalities not accept the PRB or the COC?
It is a good question. It's about a lack of understanding at that specific level. We are working very closely with those with the bigger metros, but we've got 288 metros around in and around South Africa, right? Or not metros, I do apologize, that's not the right word, municipalities around South Africa. So it's very difficult to get to them from that perspective. So, but we are. I mean, we just got we got news from the George area that they are accepting that. Cape Town was about 2 weeks ago, right, with the building control officers. But it's one of those slow progresses that do. But wait until the end of the month or the end of this year. There's a big change that is happening there. Okay, Gary.
Okay, thanks. The next one is these tests, theory and practical tests for the PRB designations.
Yes.
Who does them?
Okay, who does them? When you say who does them, in other words, you mean where does it get taken out? Where does it get undertaken? Okay, guys, it will be, the written tests are going to be online, so you don't have to leave your premises, right? In some cases, we might ask you to come in, right, to do the written test, at a PRRB center or at an OPSA center, but majority of them are going to be online. The practical, unfortunately, that you're going to have to come in. but we are arranging with various training providers to do that.
Okay. The next question, there's quite a few questions coming through, but you know, one of the questions is if you're a young 17-year-old, where do you go for training for these qualifications in Cape Town?
Well, there is a few training providers. What I suggest you do, whoever the gentleman is asking or the lady is asking, just engage with the Institute of Plumbing. You actually can go onto their site. They have got accredited training centers around the, you know, that are IOPSA accredited, or you approach the likes of, I don't really want to say it, but you can look on the CETA database for looking for that specific thing. But what's important for a youngster, and I say it to them, is practical training. Because your qualification is mainly on understanding of how you do that specific job. So if you want to do we use a quick analogy: 30% in the training environment, in the formal training environment, 70% in the workplace. Okay, Gary. Next one.
Well, there's a couple of questions coming through in terms of if I'm already registered, so either as a licensed plumber or a solar installer. Why do I need to be retested?
I didn't say you had to be retested. Okay, so you don't have to be retested, right? What we said is that if you don't maintain your registration and you don't maintain your CPD points, you may be asked to retest yourself. So if you already got your license and it's up and running and it's there, you will not be tested. You might be randomly selected, right? But we're not going to walk up to you and take it away and say, no, you have to be tested.
Okay. Do college subjects count as CPD points?
Yes, they do. They count quite a bit. So, for instance, if you did your accredited solar training, it does count as CPD points. Just engage with the PRRB and they'll give you that point allocation. You actually go, if the guys, you can download the latest app, you know, the Plumbers app, and you can actually submit your you can submit your CPD activities via the app now, or you go to the PRRB and you can actually submit it by there, by the portal, a new portal that we have on there.
Thanks. We've got a question here about SANS. So if we're going to change the industry, the building inspectors are fobbing off SANS regulations. How are we going to make a change if the building inspectors have been a part of the problem?
Okay, very good question. They are part of the problem. It's knowledge. We as we unpack these courses as well with you know, these webinars, we are inviting the building inspectors aboard, but it's a slow going thing. I hear the pain there, right? But if you do see somebody like that, engage with the PRRB, or if you're an OPSA member, engage with them because they have a direct link with the building control officers as well.
Okay. Have we still got time for a couple more questions?
Yeah, just a couple of more. I have to go to another presentation, so I do apologize, guys. But what we'll do is if we find some of them, we will reply back directly to you. So I'll take another two, Gary.
Okay, so somebody's already done their solar training previously, and they're struggling to get their solar designation through the PRRB.
Okay, I don't know. Well, I need to understand what the specifics are. It's very difficult for me to say what it is. You know, is it because he didn't do the installations? It's very difficult for me to say that specific. What is his specific issues? So he's more than happy that whoever's got that specific issue, please, you know, just email the info@PRRB and let's let them understand your specific thing. And I do see Marlies is Anya, one of our ladies in the office. If we do get that that email, let them send it through to me, or let's have a look at it and let's reply back to it.
Okay. One more. Let's see. How long does it take to go up to a master plumber?
when you say how long does it take, well, it's post-qualification. As I said to you, if you got your license or your qualification, I said 10 years post-qualification. You have to have practical experience in a real after you're qualified. So again, if I said if you were qualified in 1997, you can apply for Master Plumber's designation in 2007. Good.
Okay,
Thank you very
you.
much. Thank you. Thank you very much to the audience. Highly appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, guys. And thanks to Articulate. Cheers.